Welcome back to the R-Rated Podcast. The R-Rated Podcast. This week's guest is...
Welcome back to the R-Rated Podcast. Today's guest is Nick. You can. And first of all, before we get started, where are you from?
New York City.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Where in New York? Like what neighborhood?
Bushwick.
Nice. And what brought you out to LA? Because I feel like New York is pretty freaking cool. I feel like I prefer New York.
I got a job out here in 2020, and then I started working more towards finishing some personal projects, and then decided to stay out here.
What is your goal in the industry? Like, what were you trying to pursue?
Right now, I'm trying to finish an album that's actually coming out in November.
Okay, so that's really soon. Stay tuned.
Yeah, I've been working on it for 8 years.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us about it. Like what's what inspired you to write this? Why are you writing it? Like why did it take 8 years? Like I mean things like that you don't rush, but
So I started the process in around 2012, 2013.
Okay.
And it was essentially just trying to make one album, but then it turned into multiple different albums. And then from there, it turned into an opera, and then it turned into
casual. Turns into I'm like, okay, cool.
Because I was studying, classical composition at Hunter College for a little bit, and then I ended up just failing out of school.
Hey, honestly, I didn't get the best grades in high school, but in college it kind of all clicked, so there's still hope.
But it was, go to college, but also, don't go to college.
College is overrated. I feel like, especially in this type of industry, I don't think you really need to go to college to, be in the entertainment industry. I feel like everything that I've learned, I definitely learned that in, the first 6 months of film school, and then everything else was just oh, here, take an English class. And give us $100K.
Well, and that was, so I was working on, speaking of film school, I was working on some projects, and then I ended up, I was working on just going to school and making music, and I actually became friends with people that were going to NYU Tisch, the grad school for filmmaking.
Oh, okay.
And this director, Jordan Nikolic, he heard one of my songs and albums, and he was like, holy shit, this is amazing. It can be a film score.
Wow. And
I never thought of it, until then. I actually was just writing music for myself so that I can read on the train.
Oh, cool.
So I was it was just a self thing.
Yeah. And
then he, asked me to write a score for one of his short films, for one of his student films.
How do you start with that? When someone's like, hey,
oh
write me a score, what's what's step number one? How do you prepare for that?
Well, I just finished doing a short horror film last year. Last year. I just finished it, and it's now getting circulated in film festivals.
Ooh, I'm excited to see that.
It's cool. It's called The Seventh Circle.
The Seventh Circle, okay.
And I did this, I wrote the entire score, and then co-wrote the, doing sound editing for it as well. And with that, it's actually a funny story, because the editor was friends with her. And one day I just went over just to go over to her house and
hang out.
Just to hang out. And I said, oh, what are you working on? And she was like, I'm working on this. She's like, I'm working on this horror film.
Okay.
And I said, oh, that's cool. Can I see it? And so she showed me a rough draft of the film. And I was like, oh, that's really awesome.
Yeah. Is that how it usually goes? You watch the film first and then you make... Okay,
no,
okay.
Not at all.
I was like, wait a minute.
Well, so I don't really know how things like that, usually go, because the things that I want to put my name on are very, I can take as many opportunities as, I want to, but I try to put my whatever I like the most.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I was like, what's that score that you have? And she's like, oh, it's just something that I put in, but it's whatever. And I was like, oh man, I wish I can do that. Like, I wish I can score that film. And she said,
like, you can.
do you want to? And I was like, yeah.
She's like, wishes command.
So she said, here, she put me in contact with the director, and the director said, can you show me a sample of your work? And I said, oh shit. So
I love that.
I like minimized my email and just opened up, my software and got on my piano, and
so piano's your main thing.
I would say so.
Okay.
I can, that's
what else do you know how to play? You're like,
well, that's why it took 8 years, to make the albums, because it's like
you're more than just one instrument.
Yeah, and it's like I can't really tell a musician how to play something.
Right.
I mean, I can by writing sheet music, but if it's like, okay, I want you to play music, like I want you to play your cello as if, you're battling a gust of wind.
Okay.
Or if you're upside down being electrocuted, play it in like a certain way.
Yeah, what does that sound like?
And then they say the same thing to me. They're like, what does that sound like? I'm like, well, I'm telling you how to do it. And then, they've got confused, and it's like, okay, well, I'm being charged $200 an hour to have your time. So it was just like, fuck it. I'd rather just rent $200 a month, rent a cello.
Yeah.
Spend the first 2 weeks learning how to play it, and then
wow,
playing it myself.
It?
Yeah. So
shit.
on my next album, all the choir, all the symphonic orchestra instrumentation is completely done by me.
Wow, that's really impressive.
Yeah. So
congratulations.
bass, really clarinet, cool. Clarinets, contrabass, viola, violin, and the harp.
Do you sing as well?
I
guess vocals.
Yeah.
Do you use vocals?
The voice is the instrument. The voice is like, I think is the best.
I didn't know this. I didn't know that.
Yeah, the human voice is.
Can you give me like a?
Okay. The human voice, I think, is the weirdest thing on the planet.
Explain why.
I don't know. It's like you can express so much with it, and people have said like, oh, I can't sing, and it's like everyone can sing. If you can speak, you can sing.
I can't sing, but I will sing.
But if you learn how to, again, like
if you take the time,
to practice, anyone
with
can
anything,
sing.
Like with language, with math too. Like I hated math, but I'm sure if I took the time,
no,
really,
math sucks. Math as a
math
former maths major, don't do math.
You're a math major? Wow.
I was a computer science / and computer engineering.
When did you know that you didn't want to do that anymore?
When I was served my third probationary letter from my college saying that you have officially been whatever the fucking, what's the word, what is it, expelled? Terminated? What is
Suspended?
Yeah, but what is it called? Like dropped? Whatever. Dropped. You've been dropped. You've been served. We took your money and you can fuck off. And it took me 8 years, and then I was just like, I don't want to do it. Because I loved computers as a kid, and
but things change and things happen too.
Well, I always wanted to be a musician. And so
you always deep down wanted to be a musician.
Always. And so I, still made me, and that's why it also took me such a long time, is because I was too busy trying to figure out like, wow, I want to, it's like, oh, I have to do this and do that. And then now I'm like, fuck that. I'm going to,
and it's also hard to balance your own stuff when you're also working on a show, or like things that, in the past, like the network you're working for, like it takes a lot of time. And
it does.
How do you like, come up with a whole score when you're
was posting it. Is that my burrito? That's totally fine. It's okay. It's fine. I'm not hungry. Not at all. Or tired. And I, and then like watching my buddy, like going to school and then going to film school
Mhm.
at, you know, what is considered, I guess, like a prestigious
Right.
film school.
Right.
But, you know, he really gave me the opportunity to kind of be like, I want you to
Mhm.
score, to put the oral
Mhm.
dramatization to my work.
That's awesome.
And I
That's
was
huge.
like, well, I didn't know at the time.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, cool, man.
Cool.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks. And then, you know, I remember at the end they did like the showcase of all the
Mhm.
films at the SVA theater
Mhm.
in Manhattan, and watching the film that I worked on
Mhm.
with a packed theater with everyone.
What did that feel like? Like, were you nervous? Was
No,
it
I wasn't.
exciting,
But
or-
you know, it was kind of like the thing where it was just like, get it over with.
Okay.
You know, I don't really. I mean, it's the same way. Like, this is the first time I'm ever actually having a conversation about this,
Yes,
because
first time doing a live interview.
because I don't. You know what I
You're
mean?
like so appreciated because it's not going to happen again.
Well, I mean, like, it's I have to. You know, I have to, because people have always asked me questions about. You know, I've done Q&As for that film, and you know, people were asking me questions, and I absolutely refused to answer questions, because it's
no
like,
question. You didn't answer.
well, I
anything.
mean, I like vaguely answered a few things here and there, but
Okay.
you know, it was kind of taking away from the film to the point, because I felt like people were like, the less that I would answer, the more questions they would ask, and then it's like, well, there's a whole film that was there,
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And so, you know, watching that on the screen, I guess it was like, man, I wish, you know, man, like, I wish I did this different, or I wish I did that.
That's normal. I feel like that's always gonna come with it. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you're like, I could, if I had more time, or if I had like extra money, and maybe I would have changed this, or like, I don't know. Like, I feel like you could always nitpick something.
Yeah.
You know.
But you know, he was happy with it, and then
Right.
from there, I was like, oh wow, I want to do this for the rest of my life.
You had
I'm
that
gonna
moment.
I'm gonna do this for the rest of my life. And then I, you know, really didn't know how to do that.
Yeah.
And
Who does though? There's no like freaking instruction guide or a manual where it's like, do this and this will get you exactly to like being a successful musician or composer or film director or this.
But that's the same way that it's like the same thing with like film that you
Mhm.
just said. Like, it's like there's no music composing school,
right.
you know.
Right.
And I mean, there's music schools, but that's for like the incredibly
Mhm.
talented, like conservatories, or like people who just want to get robbed at Full Sail University.
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
You heard it here first.
And it's actually funny, because like those schools that you see like ads for.
Right.
I have a friend who actually lives in Los Angeles who's living he's super successful
Oh wow.
on engineering and producing like Billboard top hits. And
Benny Blanco.
I have no idea. I mean, he posts it all the time, and I'm
Like,
just
is
like,
that
I don't
you?
know what that is. And it has, you know, I look at it, it has like
I don't know.
27 million, you know, streams, and I'm just like, wow.
Yeah.
And but that's the thing. It's like, you did it, he did it.
But do you feel like now with this whole like streaming stuff and like followers, like do you think it's so much harder,
man,
or like do you
fuck
think
that.
it's easier in your opinion?
It's the
I'm
worst.
Like, I hate the whole following stuff. I'm just like, oh my god,
It's the worst.
stressful.
It's
because you could be a great artist, but if you have like 5 followers, no one's gonna look at it.
well, that's the thing. It's like,
I have 5 followers.
I have a real big problem with the way that social media has affected, especially when it comes to like the creative aspect, because it has stifled and shortened our attention span.
Oh my god, I know. Literally, even with the podcast, I have shortened it down to 45 minutes because I used to do like an hour 15.
So
and
you've noticed.
The attention span. I mean, it depends on the topic, but like 45 minutes seems to be like the prime, because like anything over that is kind of like, all right, like,
and songs
losing me there. You know what I mean?
Songs too. I just, you know, I'm producing a song for a friend right now, and you know, it's just a chorus. You know, usually a song is like chorus, verse, well, intro, verse, chorus,
Like, let me break it down.
verse, chorus, or pre-chorus, and then there's a bridge, and then there's like the chorus again.
Got it.
So they just took out all the stuff in the middle, and now it's just like verse, chorus, bridge, end of the song.
Why are we always rushing everything?
So it can be popular on TikTok. Because if you don't hook that
Fuck
person,
the algorithm.
but if you don't hook that person immediately
Yes.
with that like catchy riff, they're gonna scroll past,
Right.
And you're gonna be in the gutter of Spotify.
Exactly. Honestly, the algorithm is so interesting. Like, there's like some videos that I'll post that I'm like, oh my god, it's doing great. Like, wow, like everyone's seeing it, and then like the other one will be like 300 views, and you're just like, what did I do wrong?
But that's the thing, and it's just like because the speed in which everything is moving, and also the fact that people just don't care about like authenticity.
No,
like
so, like, get to the point, show me like what I'm really
well, I mean, this podcast is like very special and unique
to me. Yeah,
you listen to podcasts. I don't know about you, but it's like I
do you listen to podcasts? I'm new to I mean, like I said, 2 years ago, this is like a two-year thing. So I got into it during the pandemic because I would drive home because I was like scared of traveling back when it was like, COVID like just started. And I would listen to a lot of podcasts while I would drive home to the Bay Area, and that's like a 5-hour drive from LA. And I was like, this is just, it's cool. It's interesting. It's just people talking about things that, like they're passionate about, or things that they know, or things that they've experienced. So I was like, I want to do that. And I was like, I just literally graduated from film school. I have all this like film knowledge in here, but I can't put it anywhere. So that's how the podcast was born.
I mean, I'm a weird dude when it comes to like consuming media.
Okay. Let's talk about that. Why would you call yourself a weird dude with media? Like what?
I actually brought a gift for you.
Oh, well, we love gifts.
Courtney, do you want to go in my purse and grab the VHS?
The VHS.
Yeah, I got a VHS. I brought you a VHS tape.
I love it. So I used to watch all my favorite
It's called Reader's Digest presents Ancient Mysteries, The Great Sphinx, narrated by Leonard Nimoy.
Fun.
What was he in? Star Trek? He was Spock.
Oh, cool.
So this is yours.
Thank you. I actually really love Egyptian history. I want to go to Egypt so bad. So this is just going to motivate me to go.
Oh, I just love it because it's just really bad. It's just made so terrible. It's like one of the most...
I just like the cover.
Well, I mean, it's just... I watched it and it's just like... The music on there is so poorly made.
I thought you'd be like, it's amazing.
No, it's not. It's so...
You have to hear it.
It's
God's gift.
It reminds me of like when you were in school and people would bring... Like the teacher would be too hungover to teach, and they would bring like the TV.
No, I'm just kidding. Teachers drink.
Or go to like the store. They would bring in the TV.
Yes, they like roll it in.
Yeah, you're like, fuck yeah, we're gonna. And then they
pop
watch that video. You watch that video, and you're like, oh my god,
dude, this is a throwback. I fucking love it. Thank you.
Yeah, that's like it's if you watch it, it's like if
I'm gonna watch it.
So that's like what I on.
Is that what like?
That's like the media.
This is the media
Well,
you
I
like?
mean, that's like not that specific, but I mean like, I really do like archiving media.
Oh,
so like
that's cool.
So like finding like old cassettes or
Yes.
VHS tapes or
Yes.
old home videos and digitizing them and uploading them to the internet.
That's cool.
So that people could like reconnect.
Yeah.
With
there's actually this Instagram page called Lost in History, like photos or something like that. And it's like all these like cool film photos from back in the day, and it's just like really random things. But it's just I think you'd like it. I'll show you after.
That's
this
sick.
episode. Yeah.
So like when people ask me, they're like, "Oh, what kind of music do you listen to?" And I'm like, "Can we change the conversation as quickly as possible?"
As quickly as possible.
Or like when people ask me like what kind of music I make, it's like I don't know how to answer that question because it's like. It comes from a very special place.
Right.
And That's
How
why.
do you get in the mood though, like that? Like okay, let's say you are making like you're scoring for a scary movie.
Okay, yeah.
How are you like coming up with like scary?
I mean, I will
like,
tell
are you
you.
putting yourself in that mindset? Like, okay,
Well,
like,
I mean, I grew up watching like
Slasher
exclusively. Like
Okay.
that was because it scared me.
yeah,
I was mortified by it.
Me too.
I hated it. I thought it was.
and now I love it. I'm like, yes.
Now I love
I'm
it.
like murder mystery before bed. Yeah.
I mean, I just really like. I was afraid of it, but it was like in a way where I was like, it's so intriguing to me. And I remember my dad was always like, "Oh, let me turn off the sound."
Okay.
And then when he turned off the sound,
Why did he turn off the sound?
I don't know. And then I was like, okay, this is not scary at all.
Right.
And then I would turn it on and
why.
rewatch it with the sound, and I'd be like, the sound is what makes it scary.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay.
The sound really does make it scary. I actually watched this trailer, the Frozen trailer, which is super funny, the animated one. And they're like, oh, like, imagine, like, what it would sound like with, like, a scary score. And the vibes were so
And they re-edited
different.
it to make it look like a scary movie.
Yeah, literally. It was like two sisters going against each other.
Yeah.
One gets hit by ice. And it's like, like this, like, intense. It's
well,
just really fun.
and that was like that was what ended up happening was, so I had to send this director I never made a horror song before.
Right. Yeah.
And so, my girlfriend at the time, she was just like, you can do this. And I was just like, all right. And, I'm scrolling through, the hundreds of songs that I've written over the last decade. And I'm just like, fuck, there has to be something in here. And I wanted to like send it to her quickly because she was saying, she was considering other people and I really wanted it.
Yeah.
And so I was just like, this is taking too long. And so I wrote a song in like 5 minutes.
Casual, like what?
And then I sent it to her, and then she was like, "This is incredible," and I was like, "Oh yeah,
oh,
thanks." And
I love how humble you are. It's just so,
well, this is the reason why I don't do interviews.
It's nice. It's cool.
I mean, that's what happened, and
Would
she was
you
like, "This is."
Consider yourself an introvert a little bit?
Yeah. I'm yeah, a little bit.
I don't want to. No, I'm asking. I don't want to like put that as your title. I'm just like curious.
I mean, I don't really like talking about.
You're like, I don't like talking.
I mean, I love talking.
You're like this right now. I'm miserable.
ASMR talking.
Yeah.
I can talk about anything under the great blue sky, but when somebody asks me something about
like
my music or anything like that, I'm just like, oh boy.
That is so funny because so I'm a Leo, born in August, and I feel like if you give us a mic and an opportunity to talk, we'll just talk about ourselves the whole time.
I'm gonna ask you a question.
No, don't.
I'm gonna ask you a question. Is there two charts? There's a Western chart, and then there's is that a thing? And then another chart. There's two charts apparently because somebody said that I was actually a Sagittarius.
My mom's a Sag.
I'm a Scorpio.
You're a Scorpio.
Yeah, I'm a Scorpio.
Drake is a Scorpio.
Drake is a Scorpio.
In case you wanted to know.
Every time somebody says send a photo, I always send a photo of Drake there's one specific photo of Drake at a basketball game where he's wearing glasses and a sweater.
Yeah. And you're like,
and he does it. It looks like Drake in disguise. that's the photo that's the photo that I use. But yeah, I would say that I'm introverted. I mean,
honestly, I feel like a lot of crew members that I've been meeting on set, they have a little bit of introvert in them.
Well, I have to be.
How come?
Because it's like if I'm, when I'm at work, I have to like, be a boss.
Right.
Or not be a boss, but like, I don't want to use boss as a word because I fucking hate bosses. I hate bosses so much.
You gotta be a boss yourself.
If I'm in a leadership position,
right,
where I have where my role is, to lead a group of individuals, I can't I can't be like, hey guys, excuse me.
Right.
I have to
have a certain presence.
Yeah, I have to have a presence. And at work, people do call me Nick the Dick.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, so where do you work right now? If you're allowed to talk about it.
Music full time.
Music full time. Independently or?
Independently.
Nice.
Independently. I've been in a few conversations with a few different representative entities, but I've been doing everything by myself for myself for the longest time. And it goes back to like the streaming thing. And it's like, I do like the Kanye West. Kanye West is like the first person that I saw.
I'm just kidding.
Imagine. I mean, I don't listen to Kanye West's music, but he did something when he came out with The Life of Pablo that was interesting.
That was interesting.
He said he tweeted, I don't have Twitter or listen to Kanye West, so I don't know how I got any of this information, but he said, I'm gonna fix Wolves, which was a song. Mm-hmm. And he took the song down, remixed, redid the levels and remastered it, and then re-uploaded it. Oh, and everyone was like, you can do that?
you can do that.
And it's like, of course you can do that. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, duh. Mm-hmm. Because before the digital age period, it's like if you sent your real tape,
your like mixtape,
an actual reel to reel tape, to a mastering plant where they master it and then take a hockey puck of resin, and press your record. Yeah. There's no going back. Oh. There's no going back. Dun, dun, dun. Because it's like they have to take a die cut of a piece of aluminum and cut your music into it. Mm-hmm. And so it's not like, it was really expensive back then. So it's not like now where it's like, okay, you can, on a laptop in a moving vehicle,
literally just
you can
transfer and
exactly. And fix it. So it's something that's, never been done before. And I think that goes back to like the short attention span thing where it's like, things are changing in a good way, in a bad way.
Yes, exactly.
But that would probably suck for a filmmaker because you have to cut everything down. Speaking
of cutting things down, I don't know if you know this, but I'm actually working on a documentary about Stevie, my cousin.
Really?
Yeah, about what had happened that night and the drug epidemic in LA in general and fentanyl and how that's just been wiping out pretty much everyone from like age 18 to 26 specifically.
I just lost a friend to fentanyl.
Really? I'm so sorry to hear that.
In January.
Oh my God, is that the one that I reached out about? I think you had...
No.
It was someone else?
Someone else. Oh one of my closest friends.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
And I hate that, like, every time I talk to someone, we have a mutual, like, it's a mutual thing because of a drug overdose or a death. And I'm like, why is this so, like, common now? It's, like, so sad and, like, upsetting. But anyway, I wanted to do something that I know how to do well, like, which is, film and, like, be creative. And I wanted to bring awareness and shine light and kind of tell Stevie's story, basically. And I actually found this rehab here in LA that lets you smoke cannabis in the rehab. And I remember Stevie was always a very, like, very strong weed advocate, and he would always be smoking when he was in between rehabs. And I didn't get it back then. I was just like, why are you always smoking? Like, why can't you just stay sober? And he was like, it helps me like not want to relapse and stuff like that. So when I found this rehab that lets you smoke cannabis there, you can't just, you don't hit the bong like
it's called California Sober.
Cali Clean. That's what it is. Cali Clean.
Yeah, and then
they literally have Cali Clean meetings
and then New York
sober living.
New York
sober talk.
New York Sober is you don't do drugs except ketamine.
Isn't ketamine for like horses?
Yeah, it's a real thing. They're like, I'm gonna quit everything except ketamine.
Did you see the Whippet stuff that's going on? They're like, you have to be 21 years old now to buy like helium for balloons because of the, like, people have been doing Whippets and like just
really nitrous
Still still apparently, but yes, I don't know. I thought
Well,
it was a newer thing, but I guess not.
Well, that's like, again, that's has to do with like the TikTok thing. It's just like, and that's the
Like
the
a
problem.
trend, you think?
It's well, yeah, absolutely, but also like
Yeah.
the effectiveness. It's
Mhm.
like, you know, fentanyl is like this fast,
Right.
dangerous,
Right.
crazy.
Yeah, makes heroin look like nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's congruent with how quickly everything is, you know, the efficiency of
Right.
of things.
Right.
And it's like, I want to get fucked up as efficiently as possible,
Yeah.
which I admire.
Yeah.
But it's killing people, and then people are like pressing drugs with
Mhm.
fentanyl, and it's just like, wow.
Exactly. Like now, like you can't even guarantee you'd get pure cocaine or pure whatever the fuck you think you want to take. You know what I mean?
I don't have to worry about that anymore.
But anyway, the reason why I brought that up is because I had planned to make like an hour-and-a-half documentary, but now I'm actually going to break it up into a 3-part docu-series, because if you kind of break it down to like 40-minute episodes, it doesn't seem or look as intimidating as like, oh, I'm going to get into like an hour-and-a-half like drug documentary. You know what I mean? And again, it goes back to the attention span and the how we want things quick and answers quick and stuff like that. So I'm like fighting against that, you know, like the like fast, the now. But like also I'm like, this is my cousin's story. This is like so many other people's story as well. Like it's not just my cousin. And like I'm not gonna rush something that like means so much to me and that is important to share. So
Which is,
it's like hard to find balance is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and I mean like that's a very beautiful thing, and it's just like, you know, I envy people that can tell stories through visual media.
Mm-hmm.
And so like to hear that story in, you know, in the form that it should be in,
Mm-hmm.
like a 90-minute documentary.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's how it should be.
Yeah.
But it's like almost upsetting that like it has to be
rushed.
It has
or
to be
quick.
or it has to be like in small increments, because
Right.
people, you know, need to consume something else quickly.
Right.
And
I didn't want people to like
sucks.
not watch it and not give it a chance because of the length of duration. You know what I mean?
yeah. And I really can't comment because I don't watch TV or movies.
And that's okay.
which is
yeah.
which is
Which
weird.
is so funny because
Which is really weird.
You're composing music for movies, and how we met is interesting too. I know we can't talk about it because you signed an NDA. For anyone who doesn't know what an NDA is, can you give us a little insight? Since I feel like you signed a lot of NDAs.
Yeah.
I've only really signed like
an NDA.
2 like important ones.
I feel like it's like you can't even talking about an NDA, but it's something like that. But an NDA is a non-disclosure,
Agreement?
non-disclosure agreement.
Yep.
Non-disclosure agreement, which means that
You're signing your life away. I'm just kidding.
pretty much that you can't talk.
Wait, can I not talk about things either?
I have no idea.
Because I know I signed something,
you have
but
to read it.
I don't. Yeah, I'd have to go back and read. That shit was like this fat. It was like a 100-page packet.
Yeah.
Who knows what it says in there?
I don't know.
They probably own me right now.
I don't sign anything. I don't sign anything unless I like read it. Until I read it, it's like they're like, you should just sign it. I'm like, you're going to give me as much time as I need.
Yeah.
And I'm not good at reading.
Which is actually an excellent point to make. It's like, take your time, actually read the freaking documents, because you don't know what it says in those little tiny letters and that fine print. And like, what if it does say something crazy and you're locked in for like, 2 years and you didn't know because you didn't read it and you're just out here saying shit and then they come after you? Because that's essentially what would kind of happen, right?
Yeah. I mean, it could ruin your life. But I'm also like, that's at the same time,
no,
it's like, I get it. Like, I understand why they do it. It's like the protection of their brand and their IP, their intellectual property.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, it's also like I again, that's the reason why I've never like done like the label thing.
Yeah.
Because it's like,
once you're signed,
but they own your
work.
music
Yeah.
for a certain number of years.
Mm-hmm.
Like they own your masters.
Right.
And as like your show, not to the extreme and the reality of that, Stevie's documentary, it's like, that's my child.
Right.
those
Right.
those
You
pieces of
created
work.
that. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
it's
I agree.
and it's like I'm not going to just give that to somebody for them to literally just put it in a vault.
Yeah.
And I can't. I mean, I can have access to it the way that other people can have access to it, meaning through streaming. But if I want to like change something, I can't. Or if I want to say a new streaming platform comes out, and they don't have a deal with them,
right?
I can't release it on there.
Exactly.
And so it's like I can't, because then it's like then I'll get fucked. Or something, they'll like kill my dad.
Hopefully they don't come and do that, because that would be.
I don't mean that. That'd be fine. I need that. So yeah, I mean, like NDAs are and I guess I mean, it's also, as described before, as an introvert.
Yeah.
And that I don't talk about really much anything in my personal life.
Yeah.
It's like, when I get an NDA from anything that I'm working on, whether it's a movie, music, dating someone, I will sign it, because it's like, I'm not going to talk to anyone about this.
Right.
It's like, I don't want anybody to know.
Yeah.
And it's like, so when people are like, what are you doing? And I'm like, nothing. It's like, well, you're at home all day.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Hanging out.
Yeah. Do you like did you like working for a bigger network, or do you prefer the more independent stuff?
It's a very interesting question. I mean, all of my
You're like, I only do big networks.
Well, I mean, I don't see. So my actual, I mean, to other people, they're like cinephiles. They love music. I mean, movies. They love TV. They love going to the theater. They love watching movies and talking about it, or seeing a film set and all these things.
Warner Brothers tour.
And like I grew up with it, and behind the scenes. And
so
like,
you don't get as excited anymore when you see like a film set?
No, I just I tip
oh my God,
I tip my hat. I tip my hat to the PA, and the PA tips his hat to me, and I'm just like, you get your 12 hours, bud. You get your 12 hours.
We're like freaking 14 now. It's crazy.
But so that's another thing. It's like I want to try to do music. I am doing it full time, and it's the same thing, that you were talking about. Like, you went to film school to like chase your dream, and you're doing your dream. You're making this documentary, and like, you're doing this. And I had the opportunity handed to me that was like, now is your chance to have free time.
Yeah.
And there's not a single day that goes by where I go, oh man, I miss waking up at 6 a.m. driving 3-4 hours to the when I was working in Albuquerque, New Mexico on a film set, when I first started working in the film industry.
What was your first like position or job?
I was an assistant props.
Nice.
For Stargirl. It was for, at the time, a brand new streaming platform called Disney Plus. And it was the first live action.
What is it?
At the time, it was like this.
It
was this huge thing, and everyone's like, Disney's coming out with a streaming service, and they were like, shh, NDA. And I was just like, oh, okay. But now I can talk about it, because fuck Disney. Right. You heard that here first.
No, I literally, as a kid, I was like, when I grow up, I want to work for Disney. But now that like I've gone inside, and I'm like, talking to more people that worked at Disney, or like, done Disney projects, they really don't treat their employees that well.
No.
And they kind of like, they don't pay you as well, and they
make all the money in the world.
Right. They make the most money, I feel like, out of all the studios, out of the big five. They own like Marvel. They own National Geographic. They own all these little
Star Wars,
literally
Marvel,
everything. They own everything.
FX.
And then they're like, "Oh, we're gonna pay you less than the other studios, but you get to go to Disneyland for free." I'm like, "No, Disneyland, Mickey Mouse doesn't pay my fucking bills." Like,
they just take your money.
It's sad, because like, that's how I know I'm becoming an adult. Adulting. I'm like, damn.
Like, I love. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I just love weird shit, like synthesizers and like instruments. I don't fucking know. I just love that's like the
I
only.
love it.
I'm quoting what other people say to me, or like as if like what my mom would say. It'd be like, what is your son like? I don't know. He likes weird shit. He's a weird guy.
I feel like that's like the perfect way to end the episode too. It's like, what is Nick like?
I like weird shit.
He likes weird shit, and he makes music.
That sounds like weird shit.
So if you're looking for someone, hit up Nick. You want to throw out your Instagram handle so people can follow you?
Yeah, my Instagram is at Nick Ucan, UCCAN. My album comes out November 3rd.
Hell yeah.
It's called Snatches of Imagined Speech.
Ooh, and where can we find it?
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Except Tidal and what's the other one that we just said no? Amazon. No Amazon Music. Sorry.
Well, look out for it because you will find it in November on all streaming platforms except the two that he just said. And give him a follow. And I will see you guys next week. Thank you so much for coming on. You killed it. Bye.
Did I do it?
No, you did it.
Is this it?
God, you did it.